Hello BookTube and bookish friends everywhere. My name is Linda Jo Martin. Here on BookTube I'm known as Book Lady, and today I'm doing a May wrap-up and June TBR. And thought I'd start with telling you how things are going around here. Yesterday morning it was raining very heavily, and when I got up and went into the front yard, I was in the front yard, I happened to see that there was a herd of deer there, and those deer are getting bigger. I guess they were siblings, I'm just guessing, because they were smaller and now they're bigger, and they were in my front yard and they were grazing, and I really wanted them to stay and graze away because, you know, I mow that front yard and I could use all the help I can get. But when they saw me, they decided that it was too crowded there and they jumped over the fence and left. Unfortunate, but true. So then I wondered if they had been eating something they shouldn't, like my tomato plants. I don't know if deer eat tomato plants, but I went to look at the tomatoes, and because it had been raining very heavily last night, or the night before, this all happened yesterday. Because it had been raining very heavily, I went to look at the tomato plants and they were all fallen over. Well, let's say I have two varieties, and one variety was all fallen over because those plants were bigger, and then the other variety was smaller and hadn't been so affected. So I had to tie up all the tomato plants. Then I went inside and it started raining heavily again, and there were some lightning strikes. Suddenly there was a lightning strike extremely close to my home. Frightened me. I don't like to be frightened, but yeah, it was really close. And then I went and looked all around out my windows and I couldn't see anything that was scorched, so I guess it was not my property that was hit. I'm not sure where that lightning hit. I just know it was extremely, extremely close. So because God is watering the earth, which is a good thing, I am going to be doing a lot of lawn mowing this week. I have a lot of lawn to mow. And at times during my videos, you may hear my neighbors out mowing their lawn. I tried to do a video a couple days ago and kept realizing that the lawn mowing was probably heard in the video, so I kind of gave up on that and decided I had to find a better way to do my videos. I'll just tell you, if you hear a lawnmower, that's what's happening. I've got neighbors and they've got lawns too. So yesterday I happened to be in the back of my home in the bathroom, and I happened to notice there was a frog there. And you know, I lived in this town 13 years prior to going to Idaho, and I never had a mouse in my house, which is a good thing, but I had lots of frogs. One morning, it was probably about 7 years ago, I woke up in my home here and there was a frog on the pillow right next to me. And then it hopped away and I never saw it again. So anyhow, yesterday when I saw this frog in my bathroom, I wish I was the kind of person who could just reach out and grab the frog and take it outside and let it have a happier life. But I'm a little bit too squeamish to grab a frog, so I looked away, looked back, and it was gone. It had hopped away and I don't know where it is and I could not find it. And it was kind of getting to be a big frog too. It was like about 2 inches long, maybe 3. So I still have a frog either in my bathroom or my hallway or somewhere back there. And every time I go back there now, I have to look to make sure I'm not going to step on it. That would be the worst. And the other thing I've been doing lately is painting my closet. My closet is now extremely pink. I like it that way. And next I'm going to be painting the bedroom that closet belongs to. I started in the closet because I figured if I made any mistakes, it would be in the closet and nobody would notice, but it turned out pretty good. So let's go on to the May wrap-up. I actually read last month. I read for 2 readathons. First, the Maybe Midrash Readathon. I read 2 books, fiction and nonfiction. The fiction was Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. It was dystopian in the near future. takes place just outside of Los Angeles, and then I don't want to give any spoilers, so let's just leave it at that. She was living just outside Los Angeles in a gated community. Her father was the preacher, and she was surreptitiously making up her own religion on the side, and it's called Earthseed. So that was a pretty interesting book. I would call it speculative fiction by Octavia Butler, and there's a sequel to that. It's called Parable of the Talents. I might read it. The only drawback that I really found to it was that there was a lot of violence. It was like I said, dystopian future, and the society was falling apart, and people were not being good to each other. And so the nonfiction that I chose for Maybe Midrash is Finding Divine Inspiration, Working with the Holy Spirit and Your Creativity. And I chose it because it's a Christian book about being an artist, and I'm a Christian and I'm an artist, so I thought that would be perfect for me. I enjoyed the book, but I didn't go all the way through it. In fact, I decided, because there's a study guide and journal that goes along with it, I really wanted to do this like about one chapter a week to go through it and get more out of it. And so I'm still working on that book, and I expect to do one chapter a week throughout June. The next readathon that I was involved with was the Asian Readathon. And the first book that I read was If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. This was a very sweet book about 4 young adults in Korea, Seoul, Korea, and these women all had different types of lifestyles. Like, one of them was married and wanted to be pregnant, and the other one was working for a gentleman's club and had surgery on her face to make herself look more beautiful. One of them was a hairstylist. I loved the characters, but the book didn't make a huge impact on me, and there wasn't much of a plot to it, I can say that. But I thought it was still worth reading, and it filled one of the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompts for me, prompt number 36, a book with a pink cover. The next book I read after that was Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and I enjoyed the book. There was a whole lot of sex in that book, but it was a multi-generation family saga. A family leaving Korea to live in Japan, experiencing a lot of prejudice there because of being Korean, and just how they coped and how they got through it all. Pachinko, I didn't know it before I read the book. I thought maybe that was somebody's name, but no, Pachinko is a game that is played like sort of like in gambling parlors in Japan, and often they are owned by Koreans, so there was a little tie-in there. So I learned something about Pachinko, something I never knew before. I still don't know how to play it, but I know that it exists. The third book that I read is really, for me, the best out of the group. It's The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane by Lisa C., and it is just gorgeous. This book is just amazing. For me, it explores a culture of a remote tribe in China and the tea industry, and I just loved the culture, just learning about the culture, which was, this wasn't just a coming-of-age book for the character, the main character, but it was sort of like a coming-of-age book for the entire culture that she originated in. So I recommend that book very much, The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane. So the last book that I read for the Asian Readathon is Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Jomny Sun. And hold on, I'm going to grab it because I wanted to show you one of the pictures. So I'm just going to show you one page. This is Jomny and the tree talking to each other, and this is what the tree says. I don't like it when my leaves leave. It makes me feel cold and afraid and alone. Everybody else gets to leave, but I am stuck in the same place forever. Isn't that so true about trees and losing their leaves and being unable to leave? So I just thought this was an adorable book. It's a graphic novel, but there's not very many words on each page, so it's easy to read through, and it's hilarious. I enjoyed it very much. Let's get right into the June TBR. I'm very excited about my June TBR. I've already made a page for this on my blog at lindajomartin.com, and the first book I want to tell you about is the read-along that's happening here on BookTube for I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. It is hosted by Literary Labors, Tia in All the Books, Rainy Day Reads, and Novelle Novels from June 14th to June 20th, and there's a bingo card. Just watch their videos for more information about that. But I already ordered the book and I will be taking part in that. The second book that I'm planning to read is one that a lot of us have already heard about from Todd the Librarian. It's called Midworld. It's like his favorite book, so he's mentioned it a lot of times. And the reason I'm inspired to read this is because there's a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt this year that says you should read a book recommended by your favorite blog, vlog, podcast, or online book club. Well, I don't belong to an online book club and I don't listen to podcasts, but I've just figured our BookTube is like a book club, so I'm going to read a book recommended by a booktuber, and Todd has mentioned this book so many times, so I got a copy and I'm going to read it this month. The next book that I have on my list is also inspired by the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. Prompt number 4, you're supposed to read a book about a book club, and I chose to read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This is the second time in my life that I recall reading a book about vampires. The first one was Dracula, and I very much liked that book. It was not too bloody and gory for me, and it was an epistolary novel, which is like my favorite kind of novel. So I like Dracula, and I hope I'll like this book too. The next book that I'm planning to read is a nonfiction book. It's Grandma Gatewood's Walk, and I've mentioned this on this channel before because I intended to read it before and didn't get around to it, but I hope I will this time. I'm reading this one also for a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt to read a book with a map. And the last one that I have planned is an anthology. A Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt is to read an anthology this year. So this one, I took some time to try to figure out what kind of anthology I wanted to read, because the last one I tried to read, I never got all the way through. Well, I decided that since I'm very interested in California history and all things California, really, now that I'm back in the state after 6 years of living in Idaho, I decided to look for California short stories, and sure enough, there is such a thing, and it's published by the Southern California Writers Association, I guess, and edited by D.P. Lyle, who is an author, and it's called It's All in the Story, California Short Fiction, and really looking forward to it. In fact, I've already read 2 of the stories. I have until the end of the year to finish these Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompts, so I'm thinking of reading at least 4 short stories from the book every month, and I could get through it by the end of the year, but the 2 that I read were already so good, I might go ahead and read the whole thing all at one time because I'm enjoying it. I also have 5 other books that I need to finish. Well, first of all, Finding Divine Inspiration. I'm going to be reading 1 chapter a week on that. And another book that I want to read 1 chapter a week on is the writing book, Wild Women, Wild Voices. And I've been using that book for a while now, so I really want to make progress on it and get through it. Another book is Living Beyond Yourself. I read that with a Bible study last year, and I didn't finish the last chapter, so I have that to go through this month, and it shouldn't take very long. I have an art book in progress. It's been in progress for way too long, so I'm going to have to also make progress on that. It's called Creative License. And the other book that I stalled on and that I'm trying to get finished now is Ramona by Helen Hunt Jackson. So because I have so many things that I want to do this month, I decided to make myself a little sheet in Word with some notes here about the books that I need to finish. This first part is the 5 books that they're like carryovers from last month or even before. So it's like Ramona, Living Beyond Yourself, Wild Women, Wild Voices, Creative License and Finding Divine Inspiration. And then these are the 5 books that are new this month. And then these are the Bible books that I want to go through this month. So I'll be filling out one of these every day. I already printed out 30 of them. Have you read any of these books? I would love to hear about it. I love it when people leave comments. So please leave a comment today and hit the like button if you feel so inclined. And if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that too. I'll get back with you in another video.